This is Ajay Dutt with today's biology class. So in last class, we have studied about the control and coordination, where we studied about the various kinds of receptors. Now in today's class, we'll start with few definitions like neurotransmission, then impulse, then we'll deal with the further concepts. That is, we're going to deal with the reflex action and reflex arc. Apart from that, we are going to deal with different types of nerves and different types of neuron. Okay, then we are also going to deal with the difference. What is the difference between the neuron and the nerves? Apart from that, we'll deal with the structure of neuron today in today's class. So starting with the definition, impulse. What do you mean by impulse? So before starting with the impulse, I would like to say one thing, that doctors, they never check impulses. Doctors, they check the pulses. Okay, pulse rate. Okay, pulse is a part of circulatory system and impulse is a part of nervous system. So in biology, we come across many words which are similar to each other, like neuron and nephron. So in structure of in excretory system, we have studied about structure of nephron, which is the structural and functional unit of the kidney, and in nervous system we are going to study about the neuron, which is a structural and functional unit of nervous system. So never misunderstand or never get confused between the two words: nephron, kidney; neuron, the brain; pulse, circulatory system; impulse, nervous system. With little bit of information, we'll deal with the coming concept, that is definition of impulse. So what is impulse? A kind of electrical signal which is passing from one neuron to other neuron, or brain to neuron, or muscle to neuron, or a gland to neuron. Okay, so what is this neurotransmitter? What is this impulse? So impulse is the electrical signal which is passing from one neuron to other neuron is called as the nerve impulse. It is called as the nerve impulse. Then what do you mean by neurotransmission? Neurotransmission means the mode of transfer of these nerve impulses from nerve to nerve, that is from neuron to neuron or neuron to target, is known as neurotransmission. Now we have studied about the nerve impulse and neurotransmission. Okay, nerve impulse means electrical signal, a kind of or a sort of electrical signal which is passing from one neuron to other neuron. That is called as nerve impulse. Electrical signals, they are called as impulses or simply impulses. Then what is this neurotransmission? The mode of transfer of nerve impulses is itself called as neurotransmission. Is itself called as neurotransmission. With these definitions, now let us once again deal with the structure of neuron. So neuron is the structural and functional unit we have already mentioned. What is the speciality of this neuron, or what is the speciality of this nerve cell? The speciality of the nerve cell is that these cells, they never ever divide. Say they do not have the capacity of division. That means, so once you are having a pair of, or once you are having neuron after your birth, so those neurons will be there till your death, till your death. So of course in the middle, due to some damages or due to some various reasons, they may lose their capacity of functioning, or they may not function properly. That is different. Like our cells. Our cells, we have daily millions of cells are taking birth, millions of cells are dying in our body. So that is a continuous process. But it is not same in case of neuron. So once we have a nerve cell, and that nerve cell is going to be with us till our death. That is a special character of the neuron. So these are irreparable or irreplaceable cells. That means what? They cannot be repaired if something goes wrong with them. And if something goes wrong, they cannot be changed. That is, they cannot be replaced. So if something goes wrong with your bike or car, you replace the part. You replace a part or you repair that part if it is repairable. If it is repairable. So here, this is not repairable, nor it is either repairable or nor it is replaceable. It is not replaceable. So we must be very careful. If something goes wrong with these things, that will cause a permanent damage to us. That will cause a permanent damage to us. This is a speciality of the neuron, and this neuron has many cellular components except one of the component, and that one of the component is helping in cell division. So if that organ, that cell organ cannot, these cells cannot divide. Therefore, they are not having the capacity of cell division. They are not having the capacity of cell division. Apart from that, they are having nucleus, they are having cytoplasm, they are having n number of materials inside them, but they are only different in such a way that they do not divide. They do not divide. Now coming to structure of neuron. So when you look at the structure of neuron, which you have already studied in your ninth standard, that is under nervous tissue. So neuron, we are having three main parts of the neuron. So three main parts of neuron, and the first part is dendron. The second part is cyton, and third part is axon. So dendron, cyton, and axon are the three important parts of the neuron. Dendron, cyton, axon. These are the three important parts of neuron. Is that clear to you? The dendron. So what are these dendrons? So these dendrons are branched projections. They are branched projections, right? So when you look at this structure, so here you find branched structures. So these branched structures are called as dendrons. Okay, these dendrons are further branched into tiny hair-like projections. These are known as the dendrites. These are known as the dendrites. So dendrons are the projections of cyton, and dendrites are the projections of dendrons. Is that clear? So this is about the dendron. So what does this dendron do? These dendrons receive the electrical impulses. They receive the signals from other neuron. Okay. So there is a space between this neuron, that is the dendron, and the axon terminal of the next neuron. So the space between one neuron and other neuron is known as synapse. It is known as synapse, and that space between the synapse is known as synaptic cleft. Okay, it is called as synaptic cleft. Is that clear? So the space of the junction of two neurons, at the junction of two neurons, that space is called as the synapse, and that how much space we are having, that space is called as the synaptic cleft. Is that clear? So what does this dendron do? This dendron is going to receive the impulses or the signals from other neuron, okay, through dendrites. So these dendrites are reaching each and every cell of your body. Whatever things happen with each and every cell of your body, the brain would have the message of it, because it is connected with the dendrites, which are the units of dendron, Dendron are the projections of cyton. Dendrons are the projections of cyton. Is that clear? Then the second one is cyton. What is the cyton? Cyton refers to cell body, the round shaped structure. This is the cyton. So this cyton is rich in cytoplasma, nucleus, and many cell organelles. And what is the role of this cyton? So the cyton is going to receive the impulses from dendron. Is that clear? Dendron is receiving from other neuron. So from dendron, cyton is going to receive that signals or to pass that nerve impulses from dendrite or from dendron to axon, which is the next part. Axon, which is the next part. So between the dendron and axon, we are having the cyton. So cyton is passing the nerve impulse from dendron to axon. Dendron to axon. Is that clear? So next part is axon. Next part is axon. What is this axon? Axon is nothing but one of the projection or one of the branches of the cyton. They extend, that is they elongate, and that elongated part is called as axon. The elongated part is called as axon. So this is the one which is passing the impulses from cyton to axon terminal, that is the last portion of the neuron. That is the last portion of the neuron. From here, that information is passed to next neuron, that is passing through the space called as synapse. So always electrical signals passes from cyton, axon terminal. So in the axon terminal, so those signals are converted into some sort of chemicals, and those chemicals are called as the neurotransmitters. So that is the acetylcholine. It may be there are many number of this one neurotransmitters. In some situations, even the adrenaline is considered to be the this one neurotransmitter. It is also considered to be the neurotransmitter. There are many. Dopamine is also one of the neurotransmitter. So all this is about the structure of neuron, starting with the dendron, cyton, axon. Dendron, projection of cyton, which is receiving impulse from another neuron. Cyton, cell body rich in cytoplasm and cell organelles, which is receiving impulses from dendron and passing it to axon. Axon, one of the extended part of the cyton, which is going to pass the impulse from axon terminal to the next neuron, that is from the synapse in the form of chemical transmitter called as the neurotransmitter. They are some sort of chemical messengers, neurotransmitters, right? So this is about the structure of neuron. So after finishing the structure of neuron, let us understand what do we mean by a nerve and a neuron. See, neuron is the one which we are looking at this diagram. So what is this nerve? Nerve is nothing but it is some sort of cluster of neurons. Or cluster of nerve fibers, we say. Axon, they are also called as nerve fibers. So this is the, suppose if this is the cluster of nerve fibers, and this cluster of nerve fiber is only called as nerve. Got it? This cluster of nerve fibers together is only called as a nerve. This is not neuron. So many neurons together, one nerve, and having a covering. So this nerve is going to enclose many neurons together or many nerve fibers together, axons together. Is that clear? This is what makes nerves, which is visible in our body, slightly greenish in color. So this is visible in our body. Is that clear? This is the difference between the nerve and the neuron. Most of the people think that nerve and the same. No, nerve, they are different. Nerve is different from neuron. Okay, nerve is consisting of a bundle of nerve fibers. Nerve fibers means once again the neuron only. Somewhat it is like a singular and it is a sort of cluster. That is, it is a single. It is a cluster of neurons. We can say cluster of neurons. We can say or cluster of nerve fibers. We can say this is the only difference between the nerve and the neuron. Then after finishing the difference between the nerve and the neuron, now we'll deal with the next part, that is types of nerve. Having different types of nerves, like it may be sensory nerve, then we're having motor nerve. Apart from this sensory and motor, we're having one more kind that is called as mixed nerve. Right? Sensory, motor, mixed. These are the three kinds of nerves. Apart from this, we are also having a different kind of nerves called as the cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. See, actually the cranial nerves and spinal nerves are part of somatic nervous system. So in classification yesterday I studied about somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system, right? So under somatic nervous system these are there, but while explaining the types of nerves I would have explained this one, so we have skipped it yesterday. So you must have an idea where did we have this cranial nerves and spinal nerves. So these are further classifications of somatic nervous system. Yesterday somatic and autonomic you studied. So under autonomic you are having sympathetic and parasympathetic. So under somatic you are having cranial and spinal nerves. Right. So we are going to study it under the types of nerves. Right. Before starting with the sensory, motor, and mixed, I would just deal with the cranial and the spinal one. So, what do you mean by the cranial nerves? Cranial nerves are the nerves which are directly connecting the brain, or the nerves which are directly arising from the brain and are connected to various targets. That is, especially in the head and neck region. So those nerves which are directly arising from the brain and are connected directly to some of the parts of the body in the head region, so they are called as the cranial nerve. That means those nerves are directly coming from the brain and they're attached to the various organs of our body or various parts of the body, like it may be eye, it may be ear, okay, it may be nose, it may be tongue, it may be the skin. So those are direct to that particular target. No role of spinal cord there. No role of spinal cord there. So therefore they are called as cranial nerves. In our body, totally we are having 12 pair of cranial nerves. That means 12 pair means 24 cranial nerves. It may be olfactory cranial nerve, it may be the optic, it may be the oculomotor, so it may be a different kind of cranial nerves. Totally you're having 12 pair of cranial nerves. It may be a facial one, it may be the vagus, or there are many kinds, 12 pairs. So 12 pair means almost 24 cranial nerves we are having, 24 cranial nerves we are having, right? 12 pair of cranial nerves. And what are these spinal nerves? Spinal nerves are nothing but the nerves which are arising from various parts of the spinal cord. It may be from the thoracic part of the spinal cord or lumbar part of the spinal cord, okay, or cervical part of the spinal cord. So there are different parts of spinal cord. So from different parts of the spinal cord, the nerves are arising, and those nerves which are arising spinal cord, they are called as spinal nerves. And we do have about 31 pairs of spinal nerves. 31 pairs. 12 pair of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Is that clear? So this is about cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord, whereas cranial nerves are arising from the brain or cranium. Okay. Apart from that, we are having these three kinds of nerves: sensory nerve, motor nerve, and mixed nerve. So what is this sensory nerve? Sensory nerve is the cluster of nerve fibers. They are the cluster of nerve fibers which are taking the nerve impulses, or which are passing the nerve impulses from receptors to brain. The nerve impulses from receptors. Yesterday I have said you about thigmoreceptors, thermoreceptors, gustatory receptors, olfactory receptors, phonoreceptors, photoreceptors, mechanoreceptors, baroreceptors, various kinds of receptors I have explained. So what is the role of receptors? They are detecting the nerve impulse, and once they detect the nerve impulse, they need to send it to brain. So through which they are sending the nerve impulse through special kind of nerves called as the sensory nerves. So what are these nerve means a cluster of nerve fibers. That means these sensory nerves, they are going to receive the impulse from receptors, and they are going to pass it to brain. They are going to pass it to the brain. Is it clear? Then what are these motor nerves? Motor nerves, whenever you receive an impulse, so you give a proper action to it. So in order to give a proper reaction to it, you need to once again pass the information to the effectors. And therefore we require one more special kind of nerve called as the motor nerves, which are passing the information from brain to effectors. Effectors means any target. Suppose something is happening, or I am getting some kind of itching in my left hand side. So that itching is sent. That information is sent through sensory nerve to my brain, and my brain is going to generate a reaction to it. And when I am getting the information, when my brain is generating a impulse as a reaction, or to start a reaction, that impulse is brought to my another hand, which is the effector, and there I just go with the solution. Either applying some ointment, or applying some water, or washing, or taking bath. So all these things, right? So you just hit a mosquito also. When the mosquito is continuously stinging you, when it is biting you, mosquito bites, right? And the mosquito is biting you, what is it on the left hand side? That information is sent to brain, and brain is going to once again give instruction to my other hand, so that I can hit that mosquito. So taking in the information from receptors to brain is generated, and that impulse is sent to the effectors, and that is through motor nerves. Got it? So they are taking the information to brain. Then once brain is going to generate impulse, that is to initiate reaction, it is being sent to effectors through motor nerves. Through motor nerves. Apart from this sensory nerves and motor nerves, we are having one more type of nerve called as mixed nerve. We are having one more type of nerve called as mixed nerves. So mixed nerves are present in the spinal cord. So what are these mixed nerves doing? They are interconnecting the sensory nerve to sorry and motor nerve. So these mixed nerves consist of, so suppose this is a mixed nerve, so they're having both sensory nerve fibers as well as motor nerve fibers. So they're cluster of both. So we cannot use the word interconnecting, we can just use cluster of both. Cluster of both sensory nerve and motor nerve together make a mixed nerve. So these nerves are consisting of sensory. Like to give you one more explanation about this one. That once more explanation about this one. Sensory nerve, motor nerve, mixed nerve. Sensory nerve, they carry impulse from the receptors and pass it to brain. Right? Whatever we have proper stimulus. When you have a proper stimulus, so to that stimulus, we are initiating a nerve impulse. Suppose a mosquito is biting you on your hand. So when a mosquito sits on your skin, immediately the information is sent to your brain. So that information is sent through sensory nerve to brain. It is from receptor is your skin, thigmoreceptor. From skin to brain. Skin is a type of receptor, right? Then brain will generate a reaction whether to make it fly away or whether to kill it, right? So immediately you do the action, immediately without thinking you do the action, right? So what is happening, the brain is once again generating a sort of impulse, and that impulse is sent to the other hand, either to kill it or to make it fly away, right? So that information is sent from brain to effectors. It may be a different kind of effectors. So that impulse is brought by the motor nerve. Sensory nerve taking the impulse from receptors to brain. Motor nerve taking impulse from brain to effectors. Then mixed nerves, they are having both. That means they are also helping in taking the impulse as from brain from receptors to brain, as well as they are bringing back the information from brain to the effectors, brain to effectors. The thing is that, sir, you can ask me, so when we are having a sensory nerve and a motor nerve, there are chances of crisscrossing. That is, information may crisscross, right? The information may crisscross. So when you look at a cable which is in your home, so that cable mainly consists of three wires. One is the red one, the black one, and the green one. Together make one cable. Together make one cable, right? So although there are three different wires, but they are grouped together to make a cable. So in spite of they being in one cable, so we do not have any short circuits over there. We do not have any short circuits over there because those wires are covered with insulating material. They are covered insulating material, right? Is that clear? So here also, when the mixed nerves are having sensory nerve as well as motor nerve, what is happening? There is no crisscrossing of the information because of this sheet called as the myelin sheath. This sheet called as the myelin sheath, or it is called as neurolemma. Neurolemma. Myelin sheath is also called as neurolemma. Okay. So this is the one which is made up of fat and it is insulating material. Like we are having the green colored material on the wire, black colored material, yellow colored material, blue colored material. So these the PVC material, sorry, the plastic material we are having, or the rubbery material you are having. So that is acting as the insulator. So same we are having in the neurons also, that is neurolemma or the myelin sheath. So during such situations, there is no crisscrossing. So our body is consisting of millions of neurons, and those neurons are very close to each other. They are very close to each other. So there are chances that something may go wrong, but nothing is going wrong because of presence of this myelin sheath present on the nerve fiber or axon. Is that clear? This is about the types of nerve, that is sensory nerve, motor nerve, and mixed nerve. So we are going to deal with the next part, that is types of neuron. Types of neuron. So under types of neuron, once again we are having sensory neuron, then you're having motor, then you're having mixed or relay neuron, or also called as association neuron. Neuron, you already know it is going to receive the impulse from receptor to brain. Motor neuron, it is going to bring the impulse from brain to effectors. What is this relay neuron or association neuron? So this relay neuron or association neuron is going to connect, is going to connect is going to connect. Suppose this is sensory, this is motor. So the sensory and motor are connected together by association neuron, which you can you will come across the function of the function of the association neuron when we are going to study about the reflex action and reflex arc. So is this clear about today's class? So we have finished about the structure of neuron, different types of nerves, then different types of neuron. So in the next class we will deal with one more thing, that is reflex action and reflex arc. We are going to deal with the reflex action and the reflex arc in the next class.